to another edition of Library Life with Chesapeake Public Library. Today we have with us the incomparable young artist, Asiko Alua Adarin.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thanks. Now, you were the winner of Chesapeake Public Library's Design a Wrap for our Outreach Fan contest, correct?
Yes.
Yes, it's wonderful. You're currently a graphic design student at Norfolk State. What are your career ambitions for the future?
So right now I'm a junior at Norfolk State University. So once I get my bachelor's, I'd like to continue my education and get a master's either in art education or graphic design. Now, once I graduate, of course, I'd love to have a job in the graphic design field because bills have to be paid. But as a long-term goal, I'd love to kind of have a nonprofit organization geared towards providing resources to minorities who want to pursue a career in the art field.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And this is a question that I always find when I meet artists. When did you kind of receive the vocation, the calling to become an artist? Was it something you've always wanted to do, or was there a specific instance that really spurred you on to it?
Kind of both in a way. So I grew up kind of doodling and drawing on like anything I could get my hands on. I was that kid who always had a notebook and way too many pens on my person at all times. But after high school, I actually started studying political science because I thought I was going to be a lawyer. So fast forward through my first year of community college, COVID hits, I take a gap year. Now, during this gap year, I really took the time to kind of hone in my craft and take my art more seriously. And then I was also inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement in order to make pieces that were more politically charged. Fast forward a little bit more, I come to Norfolk State University and I tour the art department. And I was just really encouraged and embraced in the art department. So my decision was kind of solidified. So COVID redirected my path, and then being at NSU solidified my artistic journey.
So something good to come out of COVID, actually.
Yes.
You've said that your Nigerian heritage is a major influence on your art. How did that come into play when you were designing the wraps for the public library's outreach fans?
Yes. So first, talking about my heritage, something that I've started studying recently within Nigerian culture is their use of patterns, symbols, and motifs in order to relay certain messages. Specifically, I've looked into Insibidi, which is an ancient writing system, and Uli, which is a type of design work. And some examples of artists that pull from similar influences include Laulu Sembojo, there's Victor Ekpuk, and then Ghanaian artist, what's his name? Osu Nkoma. So those are some of my influences. And then as that relates to the Vans, as is consistent with Uli design, I wanted to keep my works kind of soft and curvilinear. I also knew that I wanted to create something that was fun and accessible because, I mean, it's a public library. So those influences kind of, controlled how I designed the thing. Beyond that, there are repeating symbols such as spirals and different arrows. Those are kind of consistent with the Uli designs. And finally, the way that I designed the hidden letters, it's a way that kind of flows naturally with the rest of the design.
I would say it's a wonderful homage to your heritage. They're beautiful. They kind of vibrate or hum with color and form.
Yeah.
They're really exquisite.
Thank you.
Now, the Black experience and adequate representation are central to your artistic philosophy. Why is it so important to you that Black identity receive adequate representation?
Yes. So there are two primary reasons for this. For starters, I think that it's important that we have representation because it's important that Black artists get the chance to control their own narrative. I think that historically Black works are either undervalued or exploited. And then when we are represented by different groups, it's kind of stories that are focused on either slavery or like the struggle of Black people, but there's so much more to our experience in those two focuses. So I look up to artists such as Kehinde Wiley and Amy Sherrill. They did the portraits of Barack and Michelle Obama. And then also Barbara Old Thomas, whose works kind of reflect the nuances of the Black experience. And that's just a body of work that I'd like to contribute to. And then beyond that, I just think that it's so incredibly valuable to see Black art for what it is and what it can be. And if nothing else, I'd love for the younger generation to be inspired by that because there's such a richness and wealth of creativity and innovation within our community. And the younger people should be inspired by that.
That's wonderful, and you definitely made your own contributions to that field, I must say.
Thank you.
And before we go, I'd like to ask a perennial favorite question of ours here at Chesapeake Public Library. What was your favorite book as a child when you were growing up?
My favorite book as a child was actually Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Growing up, I really loved how magical and nonsensical and whimsical that world was, but it felt grounded in a way that I felt that maybe I could one day fall into a rabbit hole and end up in Wonderland, but that it felt ethereal enough to where it's like once I got there, I'm in like a whole other dimension. And I always really admired that about the book.
And I will say your art has that sort of transcendent quality to it, so you've definitely achieved that aim.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for being here with us today, Asiko. Thank you to all of y'all for listening in, and we'll see you here again on another edition of Library Life. Until then, keep creating.